My husband stood in the executive boardroom, his hand resting possessively on his assistant's lower back, telling his colleagues how his nobody wife would never understand real ambition. What he didn't know was that I owned the company, I signed his paychecks, and I was standing right behind him. The look on his face when I introduced myself as his CEO was almost worth the 3 years of lies. Almost. This morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and a resignation letter slipped under my office door. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're a subscriber, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Let me take you back to where this all started, 6 months ago, when I still believed my marriage was real and my double life was protecting us both. The boardroom was exactly as I designed it 3 years ago. Floor-to-ceiling windows on the 42nd floor, glass walls, polished mahogany table. I'd chosen every detail, including the acoustics that carried voices perfectly to the doorway. That's where I was standing when Callum said it. My wife thinks success means remembering to buy the right brand of coffee. His voice carried that tone of affectionate contempt. She's sweet, but she lives in a different world. A smaller world. 8 executives sat around that table. I'd hired 6 of them personally. They knew me as G. Ames, the CEO who preferred email communication. They'd never seen my face clearly in video conferences. But as I stood in that doorway in my slate gray Tom Ford suit, they recognized me instantly. David Chen, my CFO, saw me first. He started to stand, then froze, eyes darting between me and Callum. Sarah Rodriguez actually gasped. Callum was still talking. His hand hadn't moved from Madison Waters' back. Madison gets it, he continued. She understands what it takes to build something real. The late nights, the sacrifice. The executives were all standing now. Protocol. Callum finally noticed, turning toward the door. Our eyes met. I watched him process what he was seeing. His wife. In a power suit he'd never seen. While his colleagues stood at attention. Genevieve? What are you doing here? I stepped into the room. I don't believe we've been formally introduced in this context. I'm Genevieve Ames Klein, CEO and majority shareholder of Ames Technologies. I sign your paychecks, approve your projects, and apparently, have been funding your affair. The silence was absolute. Madison's face drained of color. Callum's mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound. Mr. Chen, Ms. Rodriguez, will continue this presentation tomorrow. Everyone except Mr. Klein and Ms. Waters, you're dismissed. They fled. The door closed with a soft click. Genevieve, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain the hotel receipts? The $3,000 bracelet I found hidden in your gym bag? Madison's hand went to her wrist, where a delicate gold bracelet caught the light. Or perhaps you'd like to explain how you've been telling everyone your wife is a simple housewife who doesn't understand your work. When in reality, your wife founded this company, grew it to 200 employees, and became the person who decides whether you even have a job. You're G. Ames, Callum whispered. You've been, the entire time. Your boss. Yes. I smiled without warmth. For the entire 3 years we've been married. This morning, 6 months after that confrontation, I woke up in my corner office. My phone showed 47 missed calls. Callum's number appeared 23 times. On my assistant's desk, Madison's resignation letter, her handwriting shaky. In the kitchen area, a box of Callum's belongings. His nameplate. His coffee mug. His security badge, deactivated. I made coffee and watched the sun rise over the city skyline, painting glass towers gold and pink. My phone buzzed. My attorney, papers ready for signature. He's officially served. I sipped my coffee from this height, the world looked orderly. Like chess pieces where I knew every move 3 steps ahead. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how I ended up confronting my cheating husband in my own boardroom, you need to know how a software engineer became a secret CEO. You need to know about the double life I lived for 3 years. You need to know about the morning I found the hotel receipt, and the moment I decided that the wife he thought was beneath him was actually the person who controlled his entire future. This is the story of how I built an empire in secret, caught my husband red-handed, and made him face the consequences in the one place he thought he was untouchable. It starts 6 months before that boardroom confrontation, on a Tuesday morning that seemed ordinary, when I still believed my carefully constructed double life was protecting us both. I woke at 5:15 every morning, exactly 45 minutes before Callum's alarm. The pre-dawn darkness was mine alone, the only time I could be both versions of myself in the same space. Our apartment was in Chelsea, 19th floor, with Hudson views that Callum loved mentioning at dinner parties. The mortgage is brutal, he'd say, but a man has to provide. What he didn't know was that I'd bought it outright 2 years ago. The mortgage he complained about was fictional, money I transferred monthly so he could feel like the provider he needed to be. I made his coffee in the dark. Simple Nespresso, double shot, no sugar, in the world's best son mug his mother gave him. He was 34 years old. My own coffee went in a travel mug I'd take through my transformation. By 5:45, I was in our home office, the small second bedroom Callum thought I used for freelance graphic design work. My real laptop came out of its hiding place, encrypted, biometric lock. Inside was my actual life. Emails from my executive team. Reports from department heads. A proposed acquisition needing review before the 9 a.m. board call. All addressed to G. Ames, the CEO, whose full name carefully omitted Klein. I'd kept my maiden name professionally. Genevieve Ames in business, Genevieve Klein at home. Callum thought it was sweet. He had no idea it was strategic. The logistics were carefully choreographed. My CEO wardrobe lived in a storage unit 3 blocks away, the one Callum thought held seasonal decorations. Every morning, I drive there, transformed completely. Tailored suits, severe hairstyle, clear lens glasses that changed my face's shape. My Mercedes was parked there too. I'd told Callum I took the subway to freelance clients' offices. He never questioned it because he never cared enough to ask. At 6:30, his alarm started. He emerged from the shower, found me at the kitchen counter scrolling through Pinterest on my decoy laptop. "Morning," he mumbled, kissing the top of my head, the gesture of a man checking a box. "Coffee ready?" "On the counter." "Your blue suit is back from the cleaners." "You're the best." He grabbed the mug, took a sip. "I've got that big presentation today. If this goes well, there could be a promotion. Maybe VP track." He hadn't told me about it. But I'd sat in on the planning meeting last week via video conference, listening to him pitch ideas that were 60% his junior associate's work. "The marketing strategy revision?" I asked, like I was guessing. "Exactly. We're meeting with the executive team. High stakes." I made myself smile. "You'll be brilliant." "I know." No false modesty with Callum. "Oh, and I might be late tonight. The team's probably going out after." The team meant Madison. It always meant Madison lately. "No problem. I have a client call anyway." He wasn't listening anymore, already mentally at the office. He grabbed his messenger bag and headed for the door. "Love you," he called back, automatic as breathing. "Love you too," I replied to the closing door. The moment the lock clicked, I was moving. Decoy laptop closed. Real laptop open. I had 47 minutes before I needed to leave. 47 minutes to be the CEO of a tech company valued at $180 million. We'd met at a tech conference where I was speaking on a panel about women in STEM. I'd been scheduled last minute, replacing another CEO. I almost never did public appearances, too risky for the anonymity I cultivated. Callum was in the audience. Handsome, charming, asking intelligent questions. Afterward, he'd approached me at the hotel bar. "What do you do?" he'd asked. "Graphic design." Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Freelance mostly. Corporate branding. It wasn't entirely a lie. I had a degree in graphic design. I just also taught myself to code, built revolutionary project management software, and turned it into a company that now employed 200 people. We dated for 8 months. He talked about his career dreams, about making VP before 35, about building something that mattered. I listened and encouraged and never once mentioned that I could make those dreams happen with a single email. When he proposed, I said yes because I loved the version of him that existed in candlelight and weekend getaways. The version that didn't yet know he'd married someone he'd consider competition. I hired him 6 months after our wedding. He applied to an open position in client relations, had a strong interview with my HR director, got the job on merit. I recused myself officially. Unofficially, I made sure he never knew his wife owned the company paying his salary. Now, reading his overly optimistic Q3 report, I wondered when exactly I'd stopped being his wife and started being his audience. My real phone buzzed. James, Klein requested a meeting with the executive team about his career trajectory. Wants to discuss VP possibilities. I typed back, schedule it. I'll attend. James, he doesn't know you attend meetings. Me, he's about to find out. At 7:15, I began my transformation. The comfortable clothes would come off at the storage unit. I reviewed my encrypted laptop, planning the day's meetings. I texted Callum from my decoy phone, have a great presentation. Knock them dead. Then I grabbed my bag, walked 3 blocks to my storage unit, and became someone else entirely. The slate gray suit. The severe bun. The clear lens glasses. The diamond studs my grandmother left me, real, expensive, never worn at home where Callum might notice. I looked in the mirror and watched Genevieve Klein disappear, replaced by G. Ames, CEO. My Mercedes was waiting. I drove to my office building, parked in my reserved CEO spot, took my private elevator to the executive floor. By 8:30, I was in my corner office with the city spread below me, reviewing Callum's presentation materials. They were good. Not great, but good. His delivery would be confident. I made notes in the margins, suggestions that would come through official channels later, making him look even better. Because that's what I did. I made my husband successful while he complained about his simple wife who didn't understand ambition. My assistant knocked softly. Mrs. Klein, sorry, Ms. Ames, you're 8:30. I smiled. Send them in, James. This was my life. My real life. The one my husband had no idea existed. At least, not yet. The calendar notification appeared on my screen at 2:47 p.m., anniversary dinner, reservations at Oriole, 8 p.m. Our 3rd wedding anniversary was in 5 days. I'd made the reservation myself 2 months ago, back when I still believed that maybe this year would be different. My office phone rang. Internal line. Callum Klein, extension 4387. I picked up, voice crisp and professional. Ames. Ms. Ames, this is Callum Klein from Client Relations. I wanted to personally update you on the Hartman account. We've secured the renewal, increased their contract by 23%. I saw the report. Strong work. I allowed myself a small smile he couldn't see. I was wondering if you had a moment to discuss the VP position opening in Q4. Schedule it with my assistant. We'll find time next week. My personal cell lit up, Callum calling his wife while talking to his boss. I need to take another call, Mr. Klein. I switched lines. Hey, honey. Quick question, what are we doing Friday? Our anniversary. He'd forgotten. Friday is our anniversary. Reservations at Oriole, 8 o'clock. A pause. Right. The thing is, Madison organized this client appreciation event. Major clients, executive team. Could go late. What if we do anniversary dinner Saturday instead? Make a whole day of it. I pulled up my corporate calendar. No client event scheduled for Friday. Sure. Saturday works. You're the best. This event is just really important for my career. The event that didn't exist. After we hung up, I called James into my office. I need surveillance on Friday night. Discreet. Professional. James didn't blink. Already have a firm on retainer. I want to know about any client appreciation event supposedly happening Friday. He checked his tablet. There's nothing scheduled. No events, no client dinners. Find out what he's actually doing Friday. Photos, locations, timeline. Everything. That evening, I came home to find Callum on the couch, looking tired but pleased with himself. How was your day? He asked. Good. Yours? Exhausting. These clients are demanding. He reached behind the couch. I felt bad about moving our anniversary, so I got you something. Tiffany blue box. Inside, a delicate silver bracelet. Probably $400. I had one in my office safe worth $4,000. It's beautiful. He fastened it around my wrist, fingers gentle. For a moment, I remembered why I'd fallen for him. Then his phone buzzed. Madison Waters. He turned it face down quickly. Work stuff. Can wait. In our bedroom, I pulled out my real phone and texted James, move up Friday surveillance. Start tomorrow. Full schedule, everywhere he goes, everyone he meets. James, on it. Also, preliminary phone records. You'll want to see these. The file arrived seconds later. 6 months of data. Calls to Madison Waters, 3 to 4 times daily, 15 to 45 minutes each. Text messages to Madison, 200 plus per month. Text messages to me, maybe 20. I sat on our bed, looking at the evidence of my husband's other life while wearing the bracelet that represented my fake one. My phone buzzed. Elise, reminder, wine night Thursday. Don't cancel again. Me, I'll be there. Promise. Thursday evening, I met Elise at Bryant Park. She had wine waiting. The mysterious Genevieve actually appears. Just busy. She studied me with unnerving perception. You look stressed. What's going on? I wanted to tell her everything. About the company, about Callum, about Madison Waters and the surveillance starting tomorrow. But I couldn't. Not yet. Our anniversary is Friday. He moved it to Saturday for a work event. Dick move. It's important for his career. It's your anniversary. She leaned forward. I just want to make sure you're happy, Jen. I wasn't. But I couldn't say that either. We spent an hour on lighter topics before I headed home, feeling the weight of tomorrow pressing against my ribs. Tomorrow was Friday. Tomorrow, the surveillance would begin. Tomorrow, I'd know for certain. Tomorrow, everything would change. The discovery started 4 months earlier, on a Tuesday afternoon in July. I came home early with a migraine, found Callum's car gone. He'd said he was in Boston for client presentations. Moving his dry cleaning, the receipt fell from his jacket pocket. La Bernardine. Monday. 8:47 p.m. The same Monday he'd texted from Boston. Except this was New York. For 2 people. Oysters, champagne, chocolate soufflé. My hands shook. The collar had a lipstick mark, deep plum. Deliberate. The perfume wasn't mine either. I photographed everything, created a folder labeled Tax Documents 2024, then returned everything exactly as I'd found it. Spent the next hour vomiting. When Callum came home, he kissed my forehead, lied about Boston flights, while I smiled and served dinner. That was the first piece. I started watching. Documenting. 2 weeks later, at 2 a.m., I crept to his office and found the prenuptial agreement. The prenup protected assets acquired before marriage. My company was safe. But appreciation during marriage was more complex. The company had grown from $12 million to $180 million. If Callum could argue his presence contributed, he could claim a portion. Unless I could prove adultery. That gave leverage in New York. I photographed every page. Next morning, I consulted Lisa Park, my general counsel, about hypothetical prenups. Hypothetically, documented proof of adultery would be very helpful. Photos, financial records, text messages, hotel receipts. The more evidence, the better. I compiled my file methodically over 3 months. Every late night. Every suspicious charge. Every text from Madison. The turning point came 3 weeks before our anniversary. Reviewing expense reports, I noticed a pattern. February 14th, Valentine's Day. $400 dinner charged to Hartman account. But Hartman wasn't in New York that day. March 3rd, $850 Plaza Hotel charge, client accommodation. No pre-approval as required for charges over $500. I called David Chin. Audit all of Callum Klein's expenses for 6 months. David returned with highlighted discrepancies. $8,000 in questionable charges. Dinners that don't match client calendars. Hotels without authorization. Every Friday for 2 months, dinner charges, 7 to 9 p.m., labeled client entertainment. Too late for business. This isn't just an affair, I said. This is expense fraud. What do you want to do? Document everything. Make it ironclad. That night, lying beside my husband, I wondered how the charming conference man had become someone I needed to prosecute. The Friday before our anniversary, I made my decision. I hired a private investigator. Friday evening, 6:47 p.m. Diana Reeves called. Sending live location feed now. My screen showed a blue dot moving uptown toward the Upper East Side. He picked up Ms. Waters at 6:15. They're en route to the Mark Hotel. The Mark. $800 per night rooms. They're entering now. He has his hand on her lower back. She's wearing red. They're laughing. I stared at the blue dot that had stopped moving, feeling the last piece of my marriage crystallize. Get me photos. Everything. Time stamps. 30 minutes later, photos arrived. Callum and Madison at the rooftop bar, hands touching. The elevator. Room 1447. I felt something shift. Not heartbreak, that happened months ago. Not surprise, I'd known. Clarity. Cold, perfect clarity. I called Richard Hartwick. I need you to pull my prenup. Tonight. I need to know what happens with documented adultery. I went home at 8:30. Empty apartment. Cancelled Oriole reservation. I poured wine from Callum's $300 bottle and scrolled through photos in the dark. At 9:15, Richard called. Prenup protects premarital assets. Company is safe. Appreciation is complex, but with adultery evidence, you have significant leverage. At 11:47, Callum's key in the lock. He stumbled in, smelling like scotch and unfamiliar perfume. Hey, you're still up. Couldn't sleep. How was the event? Long, boring. The lie rolled smooth. I'm exhausted. He walked past without kissing me goodnight. I waited for the shower, then found his jacket. Hotel key card, the Mark, room 1447. Receipt, 2 champagnes, $187, 7:34 p.m. I photographed everything. His phone was charging. I knew his passcode, his mother's birthday. Text messages with Madison. Madison, 11:23 p.m. Tonight was perfect. I hate hiding this. Callum, 11:31 p.m. She's not like you. She doesn't understand what we're building. I took screenshots. Months of messages. Casual cruelty. Promises to her. Dismissal of our marriage. I found where it started 6 months ago. Madison, drinks after the Hartmann presentation? Callum, my wife won't mind. She never does. I closed his phone, walked to our bedroom, sat at my desk. Created encrypted folder. Uploaded every photo, every screenshot. Sent copies to Richard, James, secure cloud storage. Finally, I opened email. Subject, Monday morning meeting, mandatory. All department heads, Monday, 1 p.m. Conference room A, organizational restructuring and personnel matters. G. Ames. Sent. Added to calendar. Monday, 9 a.m., conference room B attendee, Callum Klein subject, VP position discussion. Let him pitch for VP one last time. Let him feel confident, successful. Then I'd take it all away. I climbed into bed next to my sleeping husband and stared at the ceiling. Happy anniversary to me. Saturday morning, Callum was already gone. A note, emergency client call. Madison's Instagram, latte, perfect Saturday mornings. I called Richard. I need a full team. Forensic accountant, corporate attorney, employment specialist. Today. We met at his office at 2 p.m. Richard brought Patricia Brennan, forensic accountant, Michael Torres, corporate law, and Donna Hartwick, employment litigation. Tell us everything, Patricia said. I did. Founding Ames Technologies, hiding my CEO identity from Callum, hiring him, discovering the affair. He's worked for you 3 years without knowing? Michael's pen paused. Correct. I showed them everything. Photos from the mark. Text messages. Hotel receipts. Fake client dinners. Does he know you have this? Donna asked. No. He thinks I'm a naive housewife. Keep it that way. Donna studied the photos. What's your company policy on relationships? I pulled up the handbook. Section 4.7, all romantic relationships must be disclosed. Supervisor-subordinate relationships prohibited. Has he reported anything? No. That's leverage. Donna typed. What's Madison Waters' position? She's his direct report. Even better. Not just failure to disclose, potential abuse of power. Patricia studied financial documents. The fraud totals how much? About $8,000 over 6 months. I showed the pattern. Valentine's dinner charged to Hartmann. $850 hotel, no authorization. Every Friday, dinner charges 7 to 9 p.m. Patricia smiled. That's not policy violation. That's fraud. Michael looked serious. This gives us multiple angles. Any one justifies termination for cause. I want to fire him publicly, I said. At work, in front of executives. Risky, Richard warned. Not if we frame it as personnel matter. He walks in thinking it's routine, finds himself facing termination based on documented violations. Donna leaned back. Let him have the VP meeting first. Let him talk about integrity. Document it. Then bring him to personnel meeting and confront him. The contrast will be devastating, and legally bulletproof. Do it, I said. We spent 2 hours building strategy. Patricia would finalize the audit. Michael would prepare termination paperwork. Donna would draft personnel documentation. Richard would prep divorce papers. The prenup protects your company, Richard explained. Given adultery and fraud, we can argue he forfeited claims to marital assets. By 5 p.m., I had a complete plan. That evening, I called my father. Dad, it's general you were right about Callum. I'm divorcing him. He had an affair, committed fraud at my company, yes, my company, and I'm ending it. Can we have dinner? Tonight. Il Mulino. 7 p.m. At dinner, I told him everything. He listened, expressions shifting from shock to pride. You built a $180 million company while he thought you designed logos. Yes. That's brilliant and slightly insane. He reached across the table. I'm proud of you. Not just for the company, but for standing up for yourself. I should have listened at the wedding. You loved him. There's no shame in that. He squeezed my hand. What are you going to do? I'm going to win. Good. Because the woman who built that company doesn't need to hide from anyone. We caught up on everything I'd missed, his retirement, Mom's pottery, my brother's engagement. Driving home, I felt lighter. My team was assembled. My family was back. My plan was ready. Monday morning, everything would change. Monday morning arrived with crystalline clarity. I woke at 4:30, went through my transformation with extra care. Last time performing this double life. Callum emerged at 6 o'clock, looking pleased, humming. Big day? Huge. That VP meeting. Finally getting recognition. He straightened his tie. Wish me luck. You're brilliant. He left confidently. I waited 10 minutes, then drove to my office. James was ready. Everything set? Conference room B for 9 a.m. A for 1 p.m. Cameras tested. Documents ready. Team briefed. Perfect. At 8:47, reception buzzed. Mr. Klein is here. Send him to B. I'll be there at 9 exactly. I entered at 9 o'clock sharp. Callum stood, extending his hand. Ms. Ames, thank you for making time. I shook his hand, strange, touching my husband as a stranger. Of course. Sit. He launched into his pitch. 5 years experience, 23% retention increase, Hartmann renewal bringing $2.1 million annually. He was good. I'd forgotten how good. Impressive numbers. You've been valuable. Thank you. I'm ready for VP. I have a vision for scaling these results. And your personal life? Your wife's feelings about VP demands? Something flickered. My wife is supportive. She understands sacrifice. What kind? Late nights, travel. The usual. He settled back. My wife works from home, freelance design. She doesn't quite grasp corporate pressure, but she trusts my decisions. I let silence stretch. Mr. Klein, what's the most important quality for a VP? No hesitation. Integrity. Someone the team can trust, who leads by example and maintains highest ethical standards. Interesting. I closed my portfolio. We'll take that into consideration. Decision by end of day. His face lit up. Thank you. You won't regret this. After he left, I marveled. Integrity. The man at a hotel with his direct report had lectured about integrity. James, he's heading to his office. Looks extremely happy. Me, good. For more hours. At 10:30, Madison Waters came for her routine review. Conservative navy dress, stress barely masked. Ms. Waters, thank you for coming. Of course. I pulled her file. 2 years with us. Good work. No major complaints. Thank you. Tell me about your relationship with Callum Klein. Her hands tightened on the chair. Callum is my supervisor. We work together. Just professional? Of course. I slid a photo across. Her and Callum at the mark, his hand covering hers. Color drained from her face. Team celebration, she stammered. Interesting. Another photo. No other team members. Another. This shows you entering hotel room 1447. Long celebration. Ms. Ames. Let's review policy. I pulled up the handbook. Section 4.7. You've read this? Yes. Then you know romantic relationships must be disclosed. Supervisor-subordinate relationships are particularly problematic. Silence. Ms. Waters, are you having a romantic relationship with Callum Klein? She looked at photos, at my face. Finally, yes. How long? 6 months. Did either of you report this? No. You're aware Mr. Klein is married? Jaw tightened. Yes. Are you aware he's been charging your dates to company accounts? Valentine's dinner, Plaza Hotel, your bracelet, $3,200 on corporate card? Her hand went to her wrist. He said he bought that himself. Company money. Falsely documented. I didn't know. But you knew the relationship violated policy. You knew he was married. Yes. Sobbing now. I'm sorry. I need this job. I studied her. 27, flattered by a senior colleague. Callum had all the power. Did Mr. Klein suggest your career depended on the relationship? She hesitated. Never explicitly. But implications. Comments about our connection making us better. How I was special. How working with him could accelerate my career. She met my eyes. I don't know where attraction ended and pressure began. Important notes. If coerced, this became sexual harassment. You're on immediate administrative leave while we investigate. Paid, but don't contact employees. Am I fired? That depends. Cooperate fully, provide documentation, testimony, and if you were pressured by someone with power, that will be considered. She nodded. I'll tell the truth. My attorney will contact you this afternoon. At 12:30, James knocked. Time. Executive team gathering. Mr. Klein texted asking about presentation materials. Something cold settled. Tell him no materials. This is personnel. He'll know something's wrong. Good. At 12:55, I stood in my office one last time as Genevieve Klein. In 5 minutes, I'd confront my husband as G. Ames, CEO. No going back. No more double life. Just truth, delivered surgically. I picked up termination documents and walked toward conference room A. Time to end this. Conference room A was already filled when I arrived at 12:58 p.m. 8 executives sat around the mahogany table: David Shin, my CFO, Sarah Rodriguez, VP of Operations, Michael Brennan, VP of Technology, Lisa Park, General Counsel, Thomas Wright, VP of Marketing, Jennifer Cole, Head of HR, Robert Ames, my cousin and VP of Product Development, and at the far end, looking confident but slightly puzzled, Callum Klein. He'd positioned himself in the middle of the table, surrounded by his perceived peers, dressed in his best suit. He stood slightly when I entered, then sat back down when others remained seated, confusion flickering across his face. The energy in the room was strange, too formal, too tense. He'd clearly picked up on it. Good afternoon, everyone, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. The power position. The CEO's chair that Callum had seen occupied in video conferences but never connected to me. Thank you all for being here on short notice. I watched realization dawn on his face in stages. First, confusion about why I was taking the CEO's seat. Then recognition of my professional appearance, the suit he'd never seen, the severe hairstyle, the authoritative posture. Finally, horrified understanding. Genevieve? His voice cracked on my name, rising at the end like a question. Mr. Klein. I kept my voice crisp, professional, emotionless. For those who don't know, I'm Genevieve Ames, founder and CEO of Ames Technologies. I know many of you know me primarily through video conferences and email correspondence. Some of you have never seen my face clearly in professional settings. I turned to look directly at Callum, watching the blood drain from his face. And at least one of you had no idea who I was at all. He couldn't seem to form complete sentences. You're G. Ames? You've been, this whole time. I've been CEO of this company for 6 years, Mr. Klein. I founded it 7 years ago in a studio apartment in Brooklyn. I grew it from a one-person operation to the 200-employee organization it is today. I've signed every one of your paychecks for the past 3 years, approved every one of your promotions, reviewed every one of your expense reports, and sat in on most of your major client presentations via video conference. He looked around the table wildly, seeing the carefully neutral expressions of the other executives. No surprise on their faces, because they'd known. David had known from day one. Sarah and Lisa had known for years. They'd all been part of keeping my identity separate from my marriage. Only Callum had been in the dark. This morning, I continued, Mr. Klein and I had a productive meeting about his career aspirations. He presented an impressive case for why he should be promoted to VP of Client Relations. He spoke eloquently about integrity and ethical leadership. It was quite compelling. Callum's face had gone from pale to gray. He gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white. Unfortunately, that conversation was immediately followed by some concerning information coming to light. Ms. Cole, could you please summarize the HR investigation findings? Jennifer pulled out her tablet, her voice carefully professional. Over the past week, we've been investigating potential policy violations by Mr. Klein and his direct report, Ms. Madison Waters. Our findings indicate a romantic relationship between them that has existed for approximately 6 months, during which time neither party disclosed the relationship to HR as required by Section 4.7 of our Employee Handbook. Let me stop you there, I said. Mr. Klein, is Ms. Waters your direct report? His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. Technically, she reports to me, yes. So you engaged in a romantic relationship with someone you supervised directly. And you failed to disclose this relationship to HR, despite signing annual acknowledgement of our policies. Is that correct? Ms. Ames, can we discuss this privately? We're discussing it here because it's a company matter that affects multiple departments and requires executive witness for documentation purposes. Please answer the question. Did you engage in an undisclosed romantic relationship with your direct report? Yes. The word was barely audible. Thank you for your honesty. Ms. Cole, please continue. Jennifer scrolled through her tablet. Additionally, we've identified approximately $8,000 in questionable expense charges over the past 6 months. These charges were listed as client entertainment or business expenses but don't correspond with any documented client meetings or authorized business activities. I pulled out the expense reports, spreading them across the table where everyone could see the highlighted sections. February 14th, Mr. Klein. You charged a $400 dinner to the Hartmann client account. But our CFO confirmed that no Hartmann executives were in New York that day. Where were you actually? Silence. I'll tell you where you were. You were at Le Bernardin with Ms. Waters. Charging your Valentine's Day date to company funds while your wife, who happens to be me, your CEO, ate dinner alone at home. Someone at the table, I think it was Thomas, made a small sound. Shock or sympathy, I couldn't tell. March 3rd. An $850 hotel charge at the plaza, listed as client accommodation. No client stayed there. No authorization was requested as required for charges over $500. Would you like to explain that charge? Callum's head was in his hands now. And my personal favorite, a $3,200 charge at Tiffany & Company, listed as a client appreciation gift. Except no client received anything from Tiffany that month. But Ms. Waters started wearing a very nice gold bracelet right around that time. I pulled out my phone and displayed it on the conference room screen via AirPlay. The photos from the mark appeared, crystal clear on the 80-inch display. These were taken this past Friday. Our 3rd wedding anniversary. I let that sink in. You told me you had a mandatory client appreciation event. You told Ms. Waters you were meeting with Hartmann executives. You told this company you were conducting business. Instead, you spent the evening at the Mark Hotel with your direct report, charging champagne to the corporate card and checking into room 1447. The photos cycled through: the rooftop bar, his hand covering hers, the intimate conversation, the elevator, the hotel room door. Each image a piece of irrefutable evidence. Mr. Klein, you haven't just violated company policy. You've committed expense fraud. You've engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a direct report, creating potential sexual harassment liability for this company. You've lied repeatedly to your supervisors about your location and activities. And you've used company resources to conduct an extramarital affair. Those expenses, I can pay them back. This is all just a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding when you deliberately lie on expense reports. That's fraud, Mr. Klein. It's a federal crime if the amounts are large enough. We're not quite there yet, but $8,000 is significant. Lisa Park spoke up for the first time, her legal counsel voice cutting through the tension. For the record, this meeting is being recorded as part of standard personnel documentation procedures, which all employees acknowledge in the handbook. Mr. Klein, you've admitted to an undisclosed relationship with a direct report. Do you contest any of the expense report findings? No, he looked wildly around the table, looking for an ally. Found none. This isn't fair. You can't fire me because you're my wife and you're angry about personal issues. You're right, I said coldly. I can't fire you because you're my husband and you had an affair. That would be vindictive and personal. But I can fire you because you're an employee who violated multiple company policies. The fact that you happen to be married to the CEO just means you should have known better. I opened the termination documents and read from them directly. Mr. Callum Klein, effective immediately, your employment with Ames Technologies is terminated for cause. Grounds for termination include falsification of expense reports, undisclosed workplace relationship in violation of Section 4.7, misuse of company resources, fraudulent expense claims totaling approximately $8,000, and dishonesty with supervisors regarding work activities. Per company policy, termination for cause means you receive no severance package, no extended benefits beyond the current month, and no positive employment references. You can't do this. His voice was rising, panic replacing shock. I'll sue. I'll claim wrongful termination, hostile work environment, discrimination. On what grounds? Lisa asked calmly. You've admitted to the policy violations. We have documented evidence of the fraud. This meeting has been conducted with proper witnesses, following all legal protocols. You're being terminated for legitimate business reasons that have nothing to do with your marriage. Any attorney will tell you that you don't have a case. This is insane. Callum stood, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. 3 years, Genevieve. 3 years you lied to me about who you were, what you did, playing some kind of sick game. I protected my company, I said, standing to face him across the table. I built something real while you built an affair. I signed your paychecks while you complained about your simple wife who didn't understand ambition. I gave you opportunities to excel while you told your mistress I didn't understand what real success looked like. My voice hardened, all the anger I'd been containing for months finally finding its target. The game is over, Callum. And you lost. You lost because you underestimated the woman you thought was beneath you. You lost because you committed fraud while working for someone who documents everything. You lost because you chose to lie to the one person who controlled your entire career. This isn't over, he said, his voice shaking with rage. I'll fight this. The termination, the divorce, yes, I know you're going to divorce me, all of it. I'll make sure you regret this. The divorce papers are being filed as we speak, I confirmed. And Mr. Klein? I already have all the evidence I need. Photos, texts, financial records, witness statements. You're not going to fight this. You're going to sign whatever agreements my attorney puts in front of you, take whatever settlement I offer, and disappear from my life. Security appeared at the door. James stood with them, holding a cardboard box containing Callum's personal items from his desk. Mr. Klein, James said quietly, professionally. Please come with us. Your building access has been deactivated. Your company email has been shut down. Any attempt to contact current employees or remove company property will result in legal action. Callum looked around the table one last time, seeing nothing but neutral professional faces. No sympathy. No support. Just witnesses to his complete and total downfall. 3 years, he said again, looking at me with something between hatred and disbelief. 3 years of lies. 3 years of protecting myself, I corrected. From exactly this moment. I knew you couldn't handle the truth of who I was. I knew you'd be threatened by a wife who was more successful than you. So I built my empire in secret, and when you betrayed me, I already had all the power. Security moved toward him. Callum jerked away from their approach, gathering whatever dignity he had left. I don't need an escort. I can walk out on my own. Company policy requires security escort for all terminations, James said. It's not personal, Mr. Klein. It's procedure. I watched Callum walk toward the door, his shoulders rigid with humiliation, his career in ruins, his marriage over, his reputation destroyed. Everything he'd built through charm and manipulation, gone in under 15 minutes. At the door, he turned back one last time. You'll never find anyone who'll put up with this, he said. This obsession with success, this need to be in control, this coldness. You'll die alone in your corner office, and you'll deserve it. Maybe, I said. But I'll die knowing my worth. Knowing I built something real. Knowing I didn't need to lie or cheat or steal to succeed. Can you say the same? He had no answer. Security led him away, his footsteps echoing down the hallway until the elevator doors closed with a soft chime. The conference room remained silent for a long moment after he left. Finally, Sarah spoke, her voice careful. For the record, that was the most professionally executed termination I've ever witnessed. Every step documented, every policy cited, witnesses present throughout. He doesn't have a leg to stand on if he tries to claim wrongful termination. Agreed, Lisa said. The sexual harassment angle, the pressure on Ms. Waters, that alone would have been sufficient grounds. The expense fraud was almost overkill. I wanted it airtight, I said, suddenly exhausted. I wanted to make absolutely sure he couldn't come back and claim this was emotional or vindictive or anything except exactly what it was, appropriate termination for documented policy violations. David Shen looked at me with something like concern. Jen, are you okay? I thought about it. About the confrontation, about Callum's face when he realized I'd been his boss all along, about 3 years of marriage dissolving in a conference room. I will be, I said. I really will be. Robert, my cousin, the only person in the room who'd known me before the company, before Callum, before everything, cleared his throat. For what it's worth, cousin, he was wrong. About you dying alone. The woman who built this company? She's going to be just fine. I smiled, feeling tears prick at my eyes for the first time all day. Thanks, Rob. One more thing, Jennifer said, consulting her tablet. What do you want me to do about Ms. Waters? Her administrative leave is pending investigation results. Let her come back, I said. Different department, reassign her to marketing or operations, somewhere she won't have to interact with client relations at all. What Callum did to her, using his position to pressure her into a relationship, that's on him, not her. She deserves a second chance. Generous, Sarah observed. Strategic, I corrected. If she comes back, testifies honestly about the pressure she felt, it strengthens our case that Callum was abusing his position. If we fire her too, she might side with him out of spite. Better to give her a reason to tell the truth. Lisa nodded approvingly. Smart. I'll have her deposition scheduled for tomorrow. The meeting adjourned. The executives filed out one by one, each offering some version of support or congratulations or careful neutrality. When they were all gone, I sat alone in conference room A, looking at the photos still displayed on the screen. Evidence of my husband's betrayal. Proof of my own strength. My personal phone buzzed. A text from Richard, papers filed. He's been served. Also, his attorney called already. Marcus Whitfield, sounds desperate. He knows they don't have a case. I typed back, good. Let them panic. I'll be in your office tomorrow to discuss settlement terms. Another text, this one from Emma, I'm outside your building. I brought wine and Indian food. Come down when you're ready. I looked around the conference room one last time. This was where I'd ended my marriage. Where I'd revealed my secret. Where I'd taken back all the power Callum thought he had. Tomorrow would bring more challenges. Settlement negotiations, divorce proceedings, explaining to curious colleagues and clients what had happened. But tonight, I was going to sit with my sister and eat samosas and drink cheap wine and remember that I was more than CEO or wife or any single role. I was just general and that was enough. I gathered my things and headed for the elevator, leaving conference room A and everything that had happened there behind. I sat alone in conference room A after Callum left, staring at photos still on the screen. Evidence. Proof. My phone buzzed. Richard, papers filed. He's served. His attorney called already, Marcus Whitfield, desperate. Me, let them panic. Emma, outside your building with wine and food. I met her in the lobby, and we walked to my apartment. You did it, Emma said as we spread takeout on the floor. Fired him and served divorce papers same day. I did. How do you feel? Empty. Relieved. Terrified. All of it. My phone buzzed constantly. 23 messages. Eleanor's escalating panic. Callum ranging from rage to bargaining. Madison, thank you. I'll tell the truth. Marcus Whitfield threatening legal action. His attorney is posturing, I told Emma. Worried? Not even slightly. Tuesday morning, Richard called at 8:15. Marcus contacted me. Callum's accepting the $50,000 settlement with all conditions. Just like that? Reality set in. He talked to other attorneys, realized he has no case. So it's over? Almost. Needs signatures. Sending by messenger this morning. Once signed, it's binding. Send them. At noon, Madison appeared, escorted by James. Ms. Ames, I wanted to thank you in person. Sit, Madison. I gave full deposition. Told them everything. The pressure, how Callum made me feel special and trapped. I appreciate your honesty. I made mistakes. Should have reported it, questioned expenses. You were 26. He was 34, your supervisor. Power dynamic was never equal. The attorney said that. But I still feel responsible. You are responsible for your choices. But that doesn't mean you weren't victimized. I leaned forward. I'm reassigning you to marketing. Fresh start, same salary. Not a demotion, protective reassignment. Thank you. I don't deserve this. You're young and talented. Everyone deserves a second chance. At 3 p.m., the messenger arrived. Callum had signed everything. Shaky signature but legal. I signed with steady hands. James notarized. It's done, I said quietly. Congratulations, Ms. Ames. Wednesday morning, David Yamamoto's article hit, The Hidden Cost of Corporate Fraud. Thorough, devastating, factual. Every detail of Callum's fraud documented. The affair mentioned as undisclosed workplace relationship creating company liability. Most damaging, quotes from former colleagues about his toxic behavior. By 8 a.m., it was everywhere. LinkedIn, Twitter, industry forums. Tech professionals discussing it as an ethics case study. My PR team called. Interview requests flooding in. Decline all. Issue brief statement, matter handled appropriately, committed to highest standards. At 10 a.m., Marcus Whitfield called. Ms. Ames, this article devastated my client. Employers withdrawing offers. Is there any way to mitigate damage? Mr. Whitfield, the article is based on documented facts. The fraud happened. Nothing is false. The public nature. The public nature is consequence of his actions. He committed fraud at a high-profile company. This was always going public. He's struggling. He ruined his own life when he committed fraud, started an affair, lied to everyone. I didn't take anything. He gave it away himself. Friday morning, reception called. Callum Klein is here. No appointment. Says urgent. My stomach dropped. Send him up with security. They stay in the room. 5 minutes later, Callum walked in flanked by guards. He looked terrible, unshaven, rumpled, exhausted. Genevieve. I need to talk. 5 minutes. Security remains. He sank into the chair. That article destroyed me. No one will hire me. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate? You did this. You ruined my reputation. I gave a journalist public records about fraud. Everything is factual. If your reputation is ruined, it's because you committed fraud. I made mistakes. But did you have to humiliate me publicly? You humiliated yourself every time you lied, charged dates to the company, told colleagues your wife didn't understand ambition while I was signing your paychecks. I leaned forward. I gave you fair settlement. I handled termination professionally. The consequences are natural results of your actions. I'm begging you. Call that journalist. Give me some way to salvage my career. No. Please. I'm sorry. For the affair, the lying, all of it. I'm asking, as someone you once loved, to show mercy. I studied him. This broken man had once been someone I loved. But looking at him now, I felt nothing. Callum, I can't retract facts. I can't undo consequences. You made deliberate choices. Now you're living with results. That's not cruelty. That's reality. So you're just going to let me lose everything? You already lost everything when you committed your first fraudulent charge, when you started an affair, when you lied to everyone. I'm not the one who took things. You gave them away. Tears ran down his face. I loved you. No, you didn't. You loved the version who made you feel important. The version who believed your lies and stayed small. I stood. But I'm done being small. Security will escort you out. Don't come back. We're done. Guards moved forward. At the door, Callum turned. I hope this was worth it. It was, I said simply. Every bit of it. After he left, I sat at my desk for a long time. That was the last time I'd see Callum Klein. The final chapter. And I felt nothing except quiet certainty I'd done the right thing. James knocked. Are you all right? I'm fine. Actually, better than fine. I smiled. Clear my schedule. I'm having lunch with an old friend and remembering what it's like to just be myself. Thursday morning, David Yamamoto's article hit, The Hidden Cost of Corporate Fraud, How One Tech Executive's $8,000 Expense Scandal Revealed Deeper Problems. It was thorough, devastating, and factual. Every detail of Callum's fraud documented. The affair with Madison Waters mentioned as an undisclosed workplace relationship that created company liability. Most damaging, quotes from former colleagues about his pattern of taking credit for others' work and creating toxic environments. By 8 a.m., my phone was flooded with messages. The article had been shared across LinkedIn and Twitter. Tech professionals were discussing it as a case study in corporate ethics. Several posts tagged Ames Technologies, praising our swift action. My PR team called at 9:30. We're getting interview requests. How should we respond? Decline all interviews. Issue a brief statement. We're pleased the matter was handled appropriately and remain committed to highest ethical standards. Nothing more. At 10 a.m., Marcus Whitfield called. Ms. Ames, this article has devastated my client. Former colleagues are calling, potential employers withdrawing offers. Is there any way to mitigate the damage? Mr. Whitfield, that article is based on documented facts. The fraud happened. The violations happened. Nothing in it is false. The public nature of it. The public nature is the consequence of his actions. He committed fraud at a high-profile company. This was always going to become public. He's struggling. This is ruining his life. He ruined his own life when he committed his first fraudulent charge, when he started an affair with his direct report, when he lied to everyone. I didn't take anything from him. He gave it away himself. After hanging up, I felt hollow satisfaction. Accountability achieved, but no sense of completion. At 11 a.m., my mother called. Your father told me everything. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. We want you at dinner this weekend. Just family. To celebrate your strength. Thanks, Mom. I'll be there. That evening, I sat alone in my apartment, finally allowing myself to grieve. Not for Callum, but for the version of myself who'd thought love meant making herself smaller. My phone buzzed. Elise, wine night tomorrow. No secrets. Just you being you. Me, deal. Emma, kids want to know when Aunt Jen is coming over. They miss you. Me, this weekend. Family dinner at Mom and Dad's Sunday. I sat surrounded by messages from people who actually loved me and felt something shift. The grief was real, but underneath it, relief. Freedom. The knowledge that I'd protected what I'd built and stood up for myself. Friday morning brought one final surprise. At 8:30, reception called. Ms. Ames, Callum Klein is here. No appointment. Says it's urgent. My stomach dropped. Send him up with security escort. They stay in the room. I called Richard. Callum's here. Security present. Wanted you to know. Be careful. Don't agree to anything. 5 minutes later, Callum walked in flanked by 2 guards. He looked terrible, unshaven, rumpled, exhausted. Genevieve. I need to talk to you. You have 5 minutes. Security remains. He sank into the chair. That article destroyed me. No one will hire me. I can't get a job anywhere in tech. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate? His voice rose. You did this. You ruined my reputation deliberately. I gave a journalist access to public records about fraud and violations. Everything in that article is factual. If your reputation is ruined, it's because you committed fraud, not because I exposed it. I made mistakes. But did you have to humiliate me publicly? Did you have to make sure everyone knows? You humiliated yourself every time you lied, every time you charged a date to the company, every time you told colleagues your wife didn't understand ambition while I was signing your paychecks. I leaned forward. I gave you a fair settlement. I handled termination professionally. The consequences you face now are natural results of your own actions. I'm begging you. Call that journalist. Tell him to retract the article. Give me some way to salvage my career. No. Please. I'm sorry. For the affair, the lying, all of it. I'm asking you, as someone you once loved, to show mercy. I studied him. This broken man had once been someone I loved. But looking at him now, I felt nothing. Callum, I can't retract facts. I can't undo consequences. You made deliberate, calculated choices. Now you're living with the results. That's not cruelty. That's reality. So that's it? You're just going to let me lose everything? You already lost everything. You lost it when you committed your first fraudulent charge, when you started an affair, when you lied to everyone. I'm not the one who took things from you. You gave them away yourself. Tears ran down his face. I loved you. No, you didn't. You loved the version of me who made you feel important. The version who believed your lies and stayed small enough not to threaten your ego. I stood. But I'm done being small for anyone. Security will escort you out. Don't come back. We're done. The guards moved forward. At the door, Callum turned back. I hope you're happy. I hope this was worth it. It was, I said simply. Every bit of it. After he left, I sat at my desk for a long time, staring at the city. That was the last time I'd see Callum Klein. The final chapter of a marriage that should have ended long before. And I felt nothing except quiet certainty that I'd done the right thing. James knocked. Ms. Ames? Are you all right? I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine. I smiled. Clear my schedule. I'm having lunch with an old friend and remembering what it's like to just be myself. 3 weeks later, I sat in Richard's conference room for our final meeting. The court processed everything, he said, sliding papers across. Divorce finalizes in 60 days, but it's over. Callum signed settlement, accepted $50,000, waived all claims. So I'm done. You're done. Congratulations. Patricia pulled out her folder. Financial reorganization complete. Personal assets separate from company. Trusts for wealth protection. Final numbers. Personal net worth, $23 million liquid assets. Including 73% ownership of Ames Technologies at $180 million valuation, total net worth approximately $154 million. $154 million. I'd built that. Just me. Company continues growing, Patricia continued. Q1 earnings up 18%. Seattle acquisition closed. Client retention 94%. Losing Callum hasn't hurt at all. Morale improved. Donna spoke. Non-disparagement holding. Callum's made no public statements. He's in Ohio, working his father's insurance business. Legal action from him? None. Settlement was airtight. It's over. Richard pulled out the final document. Your official divorce decree. Files next week, final in 60 days. This is your copy. I took it, feeling its weight. End of 3 years. Beginning of whatever came next. One more thing. Richard pulled out a check. For $50,000. What's this? Callum's settlement. He returned it saying he didn't want your money. I stared. Pride or guilt or moral high ground attempt. Deposit it to company general fund. Repayment for fraudulent expenses. After the meeting, I walked into late May sunshine. The city alive with summer. Emma called. How'd it go? Done. Officially. Final in 60 days. How do you feel? Weird. Relieved. A little sad. You're allowed to be sad. Want dinner tonight? My treat. Somewhere ridiculously expensive. Only if I can dress fancy. Deal. That evening, I took Emma to per se. To you, Emma said, raising her glass. To surviving, to thriving, and to never making yourself small again. To never making myself small, I echoed. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. Email from the board. Congratulations on successful Q1. The board formally recognizes exceptional leadership this quarter. Despite significant personal challenges, you've guided Ames Technologies to 18% earnings increase, closed Seattle acquisition, maintained outstanding retention. Your handling of difficult personnel matter demonstrated ethical leadership. Company is stronger because of your commitment. I showed Emma. See? You came out stronger. Company thriving, personal life rebuilding, finally living as one person. After 3 years compartmentalizing, it feels strange. But good. Sunday dinner at my parents' felt like coming home. My mother made all my childhood favorites. My father kept finding excuses to hug me. After dinner, my father pulled me into his study. I have something for you. He opened a drawer. My grandmother's emerald earrings. She left these to you. We waited for the right time. That time is now. I held them, small, invaluable in meaning. She wore these when she needed strength. She did. She wanted you to have them because you reminded her of herself. Quietly strong. Resilient. Capable of surviving anything. I don't feel that strong. You built a company from nothing. You survived betrayal. You stood up for yourself. Hand on my shoulder. Jen, you're the strongest person I know. Monday morning, I arrived at the office early. The press release about my full CEO identity would go out today. My photo, my name, complete bio, no more hiding behind G. Ames. By noon, it was everywhere. Tech news, LinkedIn, Twitter. Wow, G. Ames is a woman. She built this while keeping identity private? Incredible. Interview requests flooded in. James appeared. PR team wants guidance. Select 3 reputable publications. Written interviews only, focusing on company growth and ethics commitment. Nothing about personal life. Perfect. That evening, I stood in my corner office watching sunset paint Manhattan gold and pink. This view had always been mine, but for 3 years I'd looked at it as someone playing a role. Now I was just looking at it as myself. Genevieve Ames. CEO. Daughter. Sister. Friend. Survivor. No performance. No pretending. No hiding. Just me, whole and complete, exactly as I was meant to be. My phone buzzed. Emma saw the news. So proud. You're finally living as yourself. Elise, that's my friend. The secret CEO. My mother, sweetheart, saw your photo on the website. You look so powerful. We're so proud. Messages from people who loved me for who I actually was. This was enough. More than enough. It was everything. I grabbed my coat and headed for the elevator. Tonight, Emma and I had plans to take the kids to the park. Normal aunt things. Tomorrow I'd be CEO again. But tonight, I was just Jen. And that was exactly who I wanted to be. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.